happy with your income, or would you like to double it? Well, unless you're a monk, you probably want to double it. But here's the thing, most of the common career advice you'll get for finance and accounting won't get you these results. And quite honestly, most of the people giving you that advice haven't gotten the results themselves. So in this video, I'm going to fix that once and for all. I'm Mike, and for over a decade, I've worked at companies from the Fortune 100 to brand new startups. Earlier in my career, my income and career growth stagnated for several years, and I started watching as everyone around me, including my former peers, bypassed me to bigger roles and much higher salaries. I thought my work was amazing, and my bosses agreed to a point, but my impact on the company and my visibility to senior leadership was completely lacking. Until one day when it all clicked for me. From that moment on, within 3 years, I had moved from individual contributor to a senior leadership role while more than doubling my income. And it's those strategies that I use that I want to share with you today. Let's face it, the finance world can be absolutely brutal. Long hours, high stress, and tough competition. And the worst part? Watching others get ahead while you stay stagnant. It's frustrating, demoralizing, and sometimes it feels downright impossible to break through. But don't worry, as I said, I've been there and I've got your back. Stick with me because by the end of this video, you're going to have 3 game-changing strategies to elevate your career and snag those high-paying finance jobs. These aren't your run-of-the-mill tips. I'm not going to tell you to go build your network, to get better at Excel, or even to improve your public speaking skills. These are tried and true tactics that will really set you apart from the crowd. These are all from my experience, and I truly believe they'll give you the edge that you need to accelerate your career. And hey, make sure to stick around to the end. I've got a really special surprise that could be the key to jumpstarting your journey to finance greatness. And before we dive in, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell so you don't miss a single one of our weekly finance hacks and insider tips. I post a brand new video every single Monday. And trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming up over the next few weeks. With that, let's get started. Today, I'm covering 3 career growth strategies that I used to more than double my income in just 3 years. So, what are we going to talk about? My first strategy is to think like an owner, regardless of your role. The second is to scale your impact. And the third, and quite honestly, I think the most important, make your boss's life easy. And of course, at the end, we'll have that super special surprise that I want to share with you that will help you bring all of this together to accelerate your career. So, number one, thinking like an owner. When I used to come to work, I wanted to do a great job and impress everyone by doing my work really well. The challenge is no matter how well you do within your scope, it's rare outside of a few select roles with high exposure that is going to get you anywhere because it just doesn't translate to all of the leaders across the company who need to be a part of your career. I wanted to do a project where I would take all of the manual reporting that my team was doing for a cost group that we supported. I wanted to take all this work and move it into a dashboard. And historically, what I would have done is I would have just built a really great dashboard for my team, showed it to the teams that my team supported, and that would be the end of it. But I realized that there was an opportunity because this dashboard framework worked for one cost group, it would work for all of the cost groups. And I thought there's a way that we can do this and spread it across the entire company. But first, I had to get funding to buy the dashboarding software because we didn't have any. Historically, I would have come in and said, here's how much it costs, and here's the amazing things I'm going to do with it. But instead, something clicked in the back of my head as I was supporting cost work myself that this extra cost needed to come with value. So, how did I share the value? Well, I had my team catalog all of the hours that we were spending on building reports, executing reports, updating them, all of that that goes along with it. I then turned that into a labor hour calculation and used that information to show that we would actually provide 10 times the savings at an absolute minimum from labor perspective by not having to add people in the future to continue to support this work. We might even, as roles open up, be able to freeze roles and not have to fill them. So I went to my leadership with that. And that leads me to the second tip on here, which is the CEO method. The CEO method says that we need to simultaneously increase revenue and cut costs. And that's how you need to approach everything you're doing in your role. You need to simultaneously add significant value while looking for ways to reduce the cost and the expense of that. In finance and accounting, we're all a cost center. We're not selling, we're not running the operation. We are a cost center, and it is our job to add as much value while taking as few resources as possible. So that's number one. Think like an owner in everything you do and broaden your mentality beyond just your role and just doing things in your limited area. Number two, scale your impact. On the last one, we talked about how it was important to think beyond your team, think like an owner of the business and want to add as much value as possible. But how do you do that without killing yourself? Again, when I started my career, I did everything by brute force. If work needed to get done, I worked harder. If I wanted to complete projects, I worked harder. It was always me working harder, putting in more effort to get things done. But that doesn't work, especially as you want to move your career up, because you can't accomplish big things by yourself. And even if you can occasionally do it, you are going to burn yourself out so fast and not have time to jump on other opportunities that may come up. So I said I wanted to roll out these dashboards across an entire organization, all of the cost groups versus just my own. So how did I do that? Well, first of all, I had to put together a case to show how it would work. How would this dashboard and the framework translate over? That specifically, dashboards, that's a topic for another video. But really thinking about the different needs across teams. I did this by getting others on board. By getting others on board, it allows me to significantly amplify my efforts. And instead of again doing all of it myself, I asked them, based on what we've built, does this work for you? And what changes would you need to do this? Now, they also had to do some work to help give me the requirements and to help build this. What I learned was you have to show them in everything what's in it for them. What is the benefit for them to helping you out? And in this case, it was that some of the departments wouldn't necessarily save entire positions. No one's job was going to be on the line, but they wouldn't have to do reporting. They wouldn't be spending 60 hours a week at month end pulling all of these reports together. So if they gave me 20 or 30 hours up front to help roll this out, they would be saving hours and hours every single month into the future. And by selling that benefit, this time savings in the future versus the work now, I was able to get people on board and scale this across a 200-person department instead of just across my small department and completely change the way that my organization looked at reporting and dashboards. Number three in my framework, and I always say this is the most important, make your boss's life easy. How do you do that? You do it in everything you do because your boss is not only the one giving you the work, your boss is not only the one in control of your career at the moment, your boss is the one who's going to go out and advocate for you to the entire organization. The biggest thing I say is get promoted by not trying to get promoted. Earlier in my career, when my career was stagnant, I was trying to get promoted. Almost every one on one with my boss, I was bringing it up. What do I need to do to get promoted? Hey, this person got promoted. I'm doing better work. Why didn't I get promoted? When things started turning around for me, when people started creating new roles for me, when people started promoting me faster and faster, I was just focused on doing my job really well and by extension, making my boss look good because he could put these accomplishments as his team's accomplishments on his performance review the same way that I was doing it. Another part of this is to just be proactive in everything you do. If you hear your boss has a big meeting coming up, make sure they have the data, the information, a great presentation they need to do it. Ask them what is coming down the pipe that you may need to jump in on. Look for process and project opportunities to save them time, to save the entire team time, and to again add more value. Proactive, proactive, proactive in everything you do. And lastly, make it impossible not to advocate for you. Give them so much good work. Give them so many projects and accomplishments. And then package up your projects and accomplishments for them so there's absolutely no work that they need to do. You do everything for them, you hand it over, you make their life easy. They will love you forever. Think about this in contrast to someone who's constantly coming in like I used to, asking for that promotion, putting the work on them, making them think about what you need to do, making them think of projects you could do, putting the work on them. They will love you forever. And by the way, if you're doing all this for them, you're showing them you can work autonomously. You're showing them that you can be a leader and take those next steps. And this point exactly ties into the special surprise I have to share with you. So let's flip on over to that. What I want to share with you is the accomplishments tracker that I use to track all of my work. It's really important to not think about this as a twice a year or even worse, a once a year process, but rather a rolling log of all your accomplishments. You can use this for your reviews. You can use this in one on ones with your leader. You can use this to update your resume and write your LinkedIn because you have all this information. The way to think about this is it tracks what you have done, what you are doing, and what you are going to do. This allows your boss to understand kind of where you've been and where you're going, to show where your head's at, and also, again, to just keep that rolling log to make year end reviews easy. So now I want to take you over to the tracker in Excel and show this to you. Now, this is a free template I built in Excel. I'm going to include a link down in the description. It should be the second link right after our newsletter. If you click that link and sign up, I will send you a free copy of this template that you can use over and over again. This is very broad and generic. It's customized for everybody. You put all of your own information in, but this framework and these one pagers that we'll create are just so essential to help your boss. So again, click that link down in the description. It should be the second link right after the newsletter, and I'll send you this free Excel template to help launch your career. So what are we looking at? Well, first of all, you have to create the detail of all the different things you've done. The way I have this organized, we have our projects. So what are the big things I'm going to do? Never put down little day-to-day tasks. That's just kind of table stakes. What are the big transformative things you're going to do? Put in a description. What is this? What am I trying to do? What is this about? Who asked for it? And then category. So there's four categories I break down finance work into. The first is financial management. That's essentially your core job. If you're in accounting, this is getting the books right. If you're in FP&A, that's putting out really good forecasts and reporting. Business support, working with the partners you work with, whether that's within finance or outside of finance. Transformation, how are you changing the department? And then if you're a leader, team development. If you're an individual contributor, personal development. And how does that play in and what things are you doing to grow yourself or grow your team? And then the status, because again, we want to see what we've done, what we're doing, what we're going to do. So we've got not started. I'm going to do this. I haven't started. In progress. I'm working on it. On hold. It's on hold for some reason. We'll come back to it later. Completed. All done. These are the things I've done. These are the accomplishments that are checked off. And then lastly, put in the bullets you want to use. Think about these almost like a resume bullet. What were the really big things that I learned in this? What was the value I drove to the organization? And how did I change things? So, really calling out very tangible, specific things. And the more you can put numbers, stats, figures, KPIs in here, the absolute better. So, then what do we do with all this detail? Well, that comes over to the summary page. This page is formatted so it prints out really nicely on a landscape piece of paper. I walk in with this sheet completed to every single mid-year and year-end. And the great thing is, instead of walking in with just a long list of my accomplishments in very rough form, I'm handing my boss a one-pager that they can immediately take to their leader. Again, I'm doing all of the work for them. So on the top, you'll see the goals. I, for a full year, never like to have more than three big actionable goals. And then the three biggest highlights that you want to call out. What are the three things that you are most proud of that you've accomplished? And then we go through our big buckets: financial management, business support, transformation, team, and personal development. You're going to lift all these off the detail tab. Now, you could technically add as many as you want here. I've put in five because I really feel like 3 to 5 is what you're shooting for. They don't all need to have five. I'd recommend all of them have at least two because you want to make sure that you're balancing your accomplishments across these four categories because all of these are important. You fill this out, you print it, you hand it to your boss, they're going to love you. And this is the kind of stuff that starts getting you promoted. Leaders and executives have frameworks. These are the kind of frameworks that they have in reviewing with their bosses. And unfortunately, not a lot of people share it with you. That's why I want to share it with you, and I'm going to send this to you free if you click that link down in the description. If you take away just one thing, remember that at every step of the way, you are in charge of your career. Yes, your boss is there to advocate for you, making sure you get good projects, but don't wait for someone else to pave this path for you. Take ownership and use these three strategies to create your own success. Now, go out there, use these strategies, and start claiming those high paying finance jobs that you've been dreaming of. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. with what strategy of these resonates the most with you, or with any questions that you have on how you can apply these to your role. I read every single comment. And don't forget to check out the link in the description for that special resource I promised. Let's revolutionize how we approach our careers, one accomplishment at a time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video next Monday. Until then, this is Mike signing off from F9 Finance. Cheers.